Good morning and welcome to Palomar Live, the wave of North County. We have a phenomenal show lined up for you today, and you'll want to watch every second of it. And of course, happy early Earth Day.
That's right. Earth Day is coming up this weekend, and we are kicking off the celebration with guests that make an impact locally and even globally.
Our first guest made international headlines at the largest sporting competition in the world, the Olympics. Elana Meyers-Taylor, silver medalist for the U.S. Olympic bobsledding team, will join us via video chat to discuss her inspiring journey from her hometown in Oceanside all the way to the Winter Olympics this past February.
And Samantha Murray, board member of the San Diego Coastkeeper, is here to teach us the ways the organization strives to keep our ocean and beaches sparkling clean.
Last but not least, Johnny Bear Contreras, a member of the Kumeyaay Nation, will explain how he depicts his culture as a Native American and expresses his connection to Earth through art.
All this and so much more right here on Palomar Live. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Brady McCoy.
And I'm Anissa Kinsey. We are so honored to introduce you to our first guest, a fellow North County resident who made international history this past February during the Winter Olympics. As
expected, she is an extremely busy lady and cannot make the trip here to PCTV at Palomar College, but it's 2018, so technology obviously has bridged that gap for us. Elana Meyers-Taylor, Olympic bobsledding silver medalist for the U.S. team in Pyeongchang Winter Games, is here with us via video chat.
Hi, Elana. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So I understand you have an athletic background. You used to play softball, and softball was canceled or cut from the Olympic program. So what got you into bobsledding? How was that transition?
So basically what got me into bobsled was the fact that it was something I could transition to later in life. Most bobsledders start actually after college. So I had this dream of wanting to be an Olympian since the age of 9. And bobsled, after softball didn't work out, was a sport because I was fast, strong, and athletic I could transition to afterwards.
So one of the things that I want to ask you, especially here in Southern California, I know a lot of people don't really know what bobsledding is. So if you can, in a nutshell, kind of give us how difficult it really is to drive a bobsled.
Well, here's the thing. Driving a bobsled isn't really that difficult. If you could drive a car, I could teach you how to drive a bobsled. The tricky thing is not necessarily getting down tracks, but it's driving at that elite level. So we drive with 2 levers in the shape of Ds, 2 rings, and we pull them left and right in order to turn our sled left and right. And the biggest thing is we're making these decisions at 95 miles per hour, and sometimes it's as simple as opening and closing your hand, and that could be the difference between winning a race and crashing.
Wow, that sounds pretty intense. Like, when I think of bobsledding, I think of the Disney movie Cool Runnings, and like the teamwork and camaraderie between them was just like the gist of the movie. How does that interplay with you and your bobsledding team?
You know, for one thing, we don't sit in bathtubs.
Yeah.
That's a little bit incorrect about the movie, but it is a very important part of our sport. You know, having somebody you feel like has the same goals as you and actually has that same kind of drive and that motivation. And I was fortunate enough to have Lauren Gibbs behind me, who's actually from LA. So that was pretty cool to be able to have that kind of connection. But we don't talk as we're going down the track. So it's really, you know, being on the same page as somebody outside of the sled that matters most.
Now, one thing that I know is your husband, Nick, was a part of the 2017 and the 2018 U.S. national team. What's it like living with him? Do you guys kind of try to one-up each other at the games, or what's it like? What's that experience like for you?
We do not compete at all. We're both very competitive people, so we don't even play board games or card games or anything against each other. Because would probably not end well for either of us. So, you know, we have a very bobsled-free household. We don't talk about bobsled without asking each other's permission, what we call the B word. And we try to ensure that we get to know each other as much as we can off the ice as on. And then at the same time, we're each other's biggest support on the ice and while we're competing.
That's amazing. Now, I understand, you know, being an athlete is not without risk, and you were injured in 2015 at the German World Cup, and you suffered a concussion. What's it like recovering from something like that, and how do you dive back into your craft?
I think the hardest thing is a concussion is an injury no one can see. So as an athlete, you're used to overcoming injuries and those type of things. But concussions, it's hard to know where you're really at, and it's hard to give yourself a realistic picture of what you're looking at. So thankfully, with the help of my husband, my teammates, the USOC, and this institute called NeuroLife Institute, which is in Atlanta, I was able to come back from recovery. And that first trip down the sled, I was nervous when I made my comeback, whether or not I'd be able to handle it, whether or not I'd be able to do what I love again. But at the end of the day, I knew I had the best team in the world behind me, and they would get me back, and they wouldn't let me in the sled until I was fully healthy to compete.
And if you can sum up really quick for us, what's life like for you post-Olympics? Have you taken a vacation, or do you kind of sit back and relax for a little bit? What's life like for you after the Olympics?
Oh, it's crazy hectic, but it's a good kind of hectic. I didn't win this medal in isolation, so part of my opportunity now is to go around the country, around the world, and share my experiences. So it's been really great, but really hectic.
And being an Olympian, that's like the highest athletic level you could possibly be. What kind of preparation goes into that? Mentally, physically?
Yeah, so much years of hard work and preparation, and it's an honor to be able to do what I do. I love to compete, and every day it's training. It's doing everything you can for one event that will happen once every 4 years. So, I'm taking a little bit of time off, but in about a month or so, I'll be back at it, full training, full, going back and doing what I love to do, and closing off everything else and just focusing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's so inspiring to see someone from North County make such a profound impact on a global scale.
That's right, Anissa. Our next guest also makes an impact that reaches areas even further than North County. Can you imagine how horrible it would be if you went to the beach and you couldn't really go anywhere because it was all littered?
No, Brandon, that sounds terrible. Luckily, our next guest makes sure that doesn't happen. If you enjoy surfing the Pacific, lounging on the sand, or beach parties in a clean environment, stay tuned. We have Samantha Murray here to talk about how the San Diego Coast Keepers keep our coastline clean. Up next after the break.
Every year, millions of young women try to change the skin they were born with and say they die for darker skin. Sadly, some actually do. Change your thinking, not your skin. Stop tanning. Learn more at spotskincancer.org.
Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, babe.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
There are oceans and rocks, places where fish swim and birds fly. History is made, art is created, things happen that should always be remembered. Heroes emerge, a woman sets people free, a man makes light, a leader steps forward. It can be a place, a feeling, a state of mind. So get up, get out there, and find your park.
Well, welcome back to Palomar Live. If you like our show and want an exclusive behind-the-scenes look, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Palomar Live TV.
Our next guest dedicates her life to protecting a part of nature we all know well, the ocean.
Samantha Murray is on the board of directors for the San Diego Coast Keepers, an organization that makes sure our coastline is sparkling clean. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
You have a sparkling smile so that it fits perfectly.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So first off, what got you involved in San Diego Coast Keepers? Tell us a little about your story.
So my background is in law and conservation, and I've spent the last 15 years directing programs for a lot of different conservation organizations, and now I work at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. But what I love about being a board member at San Diego Coast Keeper is that we really are the organization making sure that the waters of San Diego County are drinkable, fishable, and swimmable for everybody who lives here.
So, like you said, your background is in conservation. What are some trends that you see? Because conservation is a nationwide issue, but what are some things that you notice that are unique to San Diego in our regard to how we conserve and protect our nature?
Yeah, well, San Diego is special because not only are we sort of ground zero for things like climate change, you know, we live right on this wonderful bay, right on the coast. So when we see things like sea level rise or changes like that, you know, we experience it firsthand. And the same with water. You know, we all remember the drought of a couple years ago, and water conservation is a really important thing in San Diego. But what's great about San Diego is we're also leaders when it comes to conservation. So we're doing a much better job than we were before of conserving water, making sure we use less water, and making sure that our water is clean for everybody. So we really are leaders on a global scale.
So one of the things, I think it definitely goes unnoticed here in San Diego, but what is one of the biggest water pollutants that you guys find, and how can we fix it?
That's a good question. So, you know, when it comes to things like you were talking during the break about trash on the beach, right? One of the biggest things we find is cigarette butts, and straws, and really, really tiny pieces of plastic. Those are the things we find lots and lots in our beach cleanups.
And you guys are very, very accomplished. You know, you have the largest volunteer program for, you know, conservation and cleanup efforts, and you also provide programs for children. Tell us a little bit about the STEM programs you have for children.
That's right. Yeah, San Diego Coastkeeper, we have 3 main programs. You know, one, as you mentioned, is the beach cleanups. 2 is, as you mentioned, volunteers. We also collect a lot of water quality data. So we send out 50 volunteers every month throughout San Diego County to collect information on how clean our water is, whether there's bacteria in it, and chemicals. But then the third thing, like you mentioned, is we help teachers educate students. So we have a water-based science curriculum for kindergarten through 6th graders that we share for free with teachers throughout the county so that the next generation really understands how important it is to have clean water.
So are there any events that you guys have coming up that the general public can come and kind of help you guys out with your mission and help you guys out with what you guys are all about as SD Coastkeepers?
Yeah, we have 2 beach cleanups every month throughout the county, and we partner with groups like Surfrider on those cleanups, and they can all be found on our website, which is sdcoastkeeper.org. We have one this weekend for Earth Day, actually right down the road.
Moonlight Beach?
Well, we do some at Moonlight Beach, but this weekend I was going to mention one that's right down the road from Palomar College. So
it's close by.
It's very close by. So you can find information on that right on our website.
What would you say, with these enormous efforts that you guys put forth, is your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is just the amount, you know, of plastic and trash that we find on our beaches and in the ocean. And I think that some people think that there are just people out in the middle of the ocean sort of throwing trash overboard or something. And the truth is 80% of the trash we see in the ocean comes from land. So it's coming from, you know, from us. And so there's a lot we can do to make sure that we have we get a better handle on it. So just things like reusable coffee cups. I saw you drinking water out of a jar at the break, and that's awesome, right?
Everyone makes fun of me. They always think that it's moonshine or something like that, but it's just pure water.
Reusable water bottles, reusable bags when you go to the grocery store, reusable coffee cups. When you do have trash, don't throw it out the window. Put it in the garbage, because things that are on the streets go into the storm drains, and when it rains, they go right into the ocean. So the challenge is getting ahead of that, but there's so much we can do together to get ahead of it.
And you know, also something that is extremely admirable, it's going on the 23rd year that the SD Coastkeepers are in action. How are you guys celebrating, you know, your anniversary coming up?
Yeah, well, we're having a seaside soiree in the fall, in September, and it's a great chance to have, you know, we have an auction, we have guest speakers, we have keynote speakers, and it is just really a celebration for everybody to get together and celebrate the work that we've all done in San Diego County.
So one of the things I read online that you guys are one of the only places that has a lab. So what is something that, or how does that benefit you guys, and how does it benefit the rest of the community for cleaning up the beaches?
That's a great question. So as I mentioned earlier, we have these 50 volunteers we put out every month, which means we have one of the biggest water quality data sets in the whole county. And because we have a lab, we can actually take those little samples of water, analyze them right there in-house and say, okay, is there bacteria? Is there, pesticides or other chemicals or really, really tiny plastics? And that means we can help define where the sources of pollution are coming from, which means we can figure out what to do about it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, yeah.
It's been great to be here. Thanks for having me.
For more information on the San Diego Coastkeepers, visit sdcoastkeepers.org.
We have to take a quick break, but you definitely want to tune in for our next guest. Johnny Bear Contreras, member of the Kumeyaay Nation, will share how his art is a unique reflection of his Native American culture and community.
We'll be right back.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
Think you found every hazard out here today? Think again. The spot you missed could be a killer. That spot on your skin could be skin cancer. If you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
You are the national parks, and no matter who you are or where you come from, the parks are you too.
If you keep tanning, the effects of harmful rays will show up on your skin. Time may not be on your side. Learn how to protect your skin at spotskincancer.org.
Welcome back. I already know you have your phone nearby, so follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Palomar Live TV to keep up with the best stories in North County.
We are so lucky to have our next guest on set. Johnny Bear Contreras is here. He is a member of the Kumeyaay Nation, who is revolutionizing the landscape of Native American art and mobilizing new generation of artists. Welcome, Johnny.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So I understand you are a Palomar alumni.
Yes, I am.
And now you're back again today, showing your beautiful art. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got introduced to artwork.
Oh, through a series of events. Worked with lots of different materials, but often I like to refer to myself as a storyteller. Mm-hmm. So out of the need to share stories and express certain aspects of the Native community, out of that need, it led me to, checking out different parts of the art world, and I was lucky enough to have some really good mentors. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of my first mentors came from Palomar, and I took my first classes here, and here we are today.
Mm. So every artist, or everyone kind of looks at art a little differently. Mm-hmm. As an artist, how do you want people to look at your art, and what do you want them to take away when they look at one of your pieces? Great question.
That reminds me of when I did a piece for Our Lady of the Angels Cathedral up in Los Angeles. One of their primary directives, if you will, was, what are you going to depict? And I came to the conclusion that as a public artist, which is what I'm known for, I look at artwork kind of like a dial. And so I turned it back to the creation story, where we first started. And so I want to share our inner thoughts in who we are, and kind of take it in that direction and give it a strong understanding in that way.
Mm-hmm. As a member of the Kumeyaay Nation, what are some of the customs and cultural practices that are a part of your culture that influence your artwork specifically?
Oh gosh, a variety, but I would probably jump right into bird singers. Mm-hmm. The piece on the far right on the table there is actually a traditional singer. And that's a piece of ceramic I did here probably about 10 years ago.
Here, on campus?
Here on campus.
It's beautiful.
When I was taking a ceramics class. It was sitting in my living room this morning, and I thought, what better piece to share than something I actually created on campus.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So how does your cultural background kind of influence your art?
Oh, in every aspect. If you notice, each answer deflects back to something in my cultural experience. But we're a contemporary people. Our traditions, our customs and traditions process through every day. In storytelling, song singing, sharing different aspects of the culture, that's a very traditional thing, telling jokes and laughing. I was speaking with my nephew earlier as we were sitting in the audience, and we were talking about a few people in the community, and you could always recognize some of the folks that come from certain communities because they're always joking. You know, that's an important aspect.
Now, you know, with things, Coachella is one of the largest music festivals in the United States. You know, often people are dressed in Indian-style garb and things like that. And I understand that authenticity is very important. How is the authenticity of your artwork and your culture important to you?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. So regalia, which is something that you practice your traditions, custom traditions in. Regalia is an important aspect of many different cultural events. As far as my artwork goes, what I depict, I try to depict something that is accurate first, and sometimes I try to pull something out that has maybe going to shed some light and transfer some knowledge to the non-native folks and to the next generation of native individuals.
Absolutely.
Now, if someone was going out to try to find one of your pieces, where can they go to find your artwork?
Well, as of a couple months from now, you'll be able just to walk across the courtyard here in front of the MD building, and Valley View Casino and the San Pasqual Tribe are donating 3 of my 9-foot bronze sculptures to Palomar College, and we should have them installed within a couple months. I'll be delivering them tomorrow morning.
That's exciting. I can't wait to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, your studio is on the San Pasqual Reservation. And walk us through your process, your creative process when you're in there creating.
Well, you know, I just did a lecture at USD, and I had one of my first sketches that I ever did when I was living up in Mammoth Mountain. And typically, an idea starts, and if you're lucky enough to have pen and paper around, you jot it down. And then as that filters through, kind of an osmosis process, something will remind you of one thing or another, and you'll take it from sketch, you'll take it to model, and depending on the material that's the final product, you might fab it up in the studio and kind of just depend. I'm doing a lot of stainless steel right now, but it's from sketch to hands-on as soon as you can.
So who's one of your biggest inspirations?
Oh gosh, Salvador Dali. Absolutely.
Yes.
Surrealism. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and bringing your beautiful art. We're looking forward to that collaboration, and we can see it in front of the MD building soon.
That's right, that's right. If you would like to know more about Johnny, his unique art form and cultural inspiration, you can visit johnnybearart.com. You can even find some of his photos and latest and greatest work.
After the break, we'll help you plan out your weekend, learn about up-and-coming events happening around North County that you won't want to miss. You might even catch me and Braden at a few of them.
That's right. Don't go anywhere. Palomar Live will be right back.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
Every year, millions of young women try to change the skin they were born with and say they die for darker skin. Sadly, some actually do. Change your thinking, not your skin. Stop tanning. Learn more at spotskincancer.org.
There are oceans and rocks, places where fish swim and birds fly. It's History is made, art is created, things happen that should always be remembered. Heroes emerge, a woman sets people free, a man makes light, a leader steps forward. It can be a place, a feeling, a state of mind. So get up, get out there, and find your park.
If you haven't already, go find us on Facebook at Palomar Live TV and be sure to give us a thumbs up. Before you leave us today, we want to update you on a few awesome events that are happening around North County. Earth Day is this Sunday, April 22nd, and everyone is invited from 9 to 1 at the Georgina Cole Library in Carlsbad. Join the city in celebration of the special day. There will be environmental, learning, live music, free compost workshops, and so much more. If you would like to attend this event or want to know more, you can visit www.theecologycenter.com.
If you couldn't make it to the Fallbrook Avocado Festival, don't worry. Poway's Spring Family Festival is happening this Sunday, April 22nd. This outing might not have the same attendance as the Avocado Festival, but it will certainly be just as fun. The Poway Spring Family Festival attracts more than 10,000 people, along with live entertainment, a beer garden, a classic car show, and more. If you would like more information, visit www.powayfamilyspringfestival.com.
And you know, who doesn't love food trucks? Happening this Saturday, April 21st, the annual Spring Food Truck Festival will be in Valley Center. Make sure to work up an appetite because there will be 8 food trucks to select from. There will also be a live music, beer garden, and so much more. This is a perfect event for a midday as it starts at 11 and ends at 3, so make sure you bring your friends and show up hungry. If you want more information, you can visit www.springfoodfestival.com.
It sounds like it'll be a busy weekend. To help us close out the show, we have a special guest here, Chio Saito Padilla, here to let us know about a unique cultural singing event she's involved in.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'd like to invite the public to come to our 3rd annual karaoke amateur singing contest that's being hosted by my parents, Kimiko and Shin Saito. And it will be taking place at the Japanese American Cultural Center in Vista. The time is from noon till 4 p.m. and everyone is invited. It's completely free, and we'll be showcasing many performers, dancers as well. And we have a junior division and also an adult division with judging. So we'd love to have the public come out and support all these new singers, and it's a great way to connect the community.
Thank you so much, Chio. That sounds so fun, and it looks like a great way to unify the community.
Well, that wraps up our show for today. Special thanks to all our guests and for hanging out with us and staying engaged in North County and beyond. Thank you for waking up with us this morning. I'm Brady McCoy.
And I'm Anissa Kinsey. Be sure to tune in again next Thursday to get your Palomar Live fix.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So can you sing yourself?
This year I'm not singing.